Good afternoon, this is Daniel Marins, and I'm going to be closing out this hour with a discussion of a recent snag that immigration reform took in talks between business and labor, specifically the United States Chamber of Commerce, a broad umbrella group which represents the nation's business interests, and the AFL-CIO, the American Federation of Labor and Congress of Industrial Organizations, which is the federation of most of the nation's labor unions. Previously, it had been perceived as a major breakthrough that business and labor, proverbially, could agree on the need for a guest worker program to accommodate what businesses believe is a need for relatively cheap labor without necessarily providing a path to citizenship. Now, this was seen as a big breakthrough because in the past, labor had objected to this idea on the grounds that it would undermine the wage and living standards of workers who achieved legalization or were already here legally. So this was a big breakthrough, but then this past week, that proved to be a sticking point once again. Apparently, business and labor originally could not agree on the number of these additional guest worker visas that they would agree to grant. The Chamber of Commerce wanted 400,000 such visas a year, and the AFL-CIO wanted something under 100,000. Now, it appears that that snag may have cleared up as they've reached a compromise figure of 200,000. Of course, that was not after some major airing of dirty laundry on the part of the Chamber of Commerce and the press, and of course by their allies, the Republican senators and members of the House of Representatives. But then a more significant dispute seems to have arisen, and that is what kind of wage regulations there should be for these guest workers. Now, business says that they would like to pay these guest workers what they call the prevailing wage, or something slightly above that for people in that sector. And presumably these are guest workers that would be disproportionately concentrated in, for instance, the agriculture sector. Labor says that that would serve to undercut the earning power of all workers in those areas and in those fields. And therefore, they're demanding that workers that get those guest visas get the same wage standards and requirements of high-income, upper-earning immigrants that get H-1A and H-1B visas. Now, labor also claims that paying the same rate as people in the private sector in similar sectors who are here legally would still amount to paying poverty-level wages to people that don't have the protections of citizenship, thereby damaging the bargaining power of workers on the lower rungs. But of course, at this point, it looks like they are still negotiating for 20 to 60 or 70% higher than market rates. They'd like that to be even higher than that. Business wants that to be lower, and they're claiming that organized labor is sabotaging that process. Of course, the AFL-CIO, extremely active in the Latino community, many Latino members, SEIU and the Change to Win Coalition, tremendous representation amongst the Latino community. And in as much as the Republican Party is interested in courting the Latino vote, it should be interesting to see how much the AFL-CIO is able to mobilize their members, and in particular, leverage their power in the Latino community to turn this into a political issue and turn the tables on Republicans and their allies in the business community. Now, interestingly enough, Labor got a unique ally in the Republican senator from Alabama, Jeff Sessions, who essentially said that business was interested in giving too many guest worker visas and paying them at too low of a rate given the low levels of employment in the economy. He said, there's so many jobs, there's not, and quote, there's not enough jobs now? Give me a break. So this is some interesting coalition politics here. Here's my take, and here's what I would say. I would say that rather than have these big disputes about how guest workers should be treated, we should just open the floodgates to H-1A and H-1B visas, because if we're going to have low-income workers compete with workers from developing countries across the world, then we should at least do the same thing for upper-income, white-collar, college-educated, and graduate school-educated workers. Once that happens, there'll be solidarity across the spectrum, because upper-income workers, like doctors and lawyers, and yes, even journalists and members of Congress, may actually find that they have an interest in protecting their leverage and their wages and their ability to negotiate a good cost of living and a good standard of living, rather than doing a race to the bottom for everybody. And that, I think, would be a very interesting twist, and that would be more likely to even in the playing field. But I'm not holding my breath. So stay tuned for more on Take Action News. We've got lots of great news and analysis coming up this hour.